What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Forest. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Good evening, Hannah.
Good evening. Happy holidays. How are you?
Yeah, how was your weekend?
It was great. Drove up to Pennsylvania and was able to spend time with my family
Great.
because that's what we do every year. We kind of flip flop our families for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So this year it's Thanksgiving with my family, Christmas with Zach's.
Nice. Nice. Yes. Yeah, it was a little relaxing. And then, of course, the weekend happens and it's the normal weekend. So it gets a little crazy. But
Yeah,
I
you
hope.
pretty much stayed local, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I stay here. Yeah, I stay here. Thursday, Friday are pretty laid back, but Saturday and Sunday is back to like weekends, so it's always crazy around here on the weekends. But it's getting out of that 4-day weekend and getting back to work is sometimes rough. So,
Yeah.
but we delayed this a little bit, obviously because of the holiday weekend. But we had to get on here and do an episode pre the release of Skeleton Crew, which actually happens today. If you're listening to us today,
Nice.
they moved up the release a day. So on December 2nd now, which is a Monday right now today, they will be releasing both episodes as opposed to December 3rd. Now, for some of you that are lucky enough, and I know it's already late news, but I think they did this for Acolyte as well and maybe Ahsoka, but they are releasing it in select theaters as well around the country.
Okay.
Only 25 screens. So naturally, Kentucky doesn't get any of them.
Of course not.
So you're not going to get them around here. But obviously in big cities like Atlanta, New York, Chicago, LA, and things like that, you may have been lucky enough to get a ticket. I looked online just now. Everything's sold out. So they went pretty fast. But pretty neat. You're going to see it 2 hours earlier than the rest of us. I think it's a 7 p.m. screening, East Coast time, whereas we are going to get it at 9 p.m. East Coast time. So, yeah. So we're going to talk about purely what our kind of thoughts and expectations are for the show on this episode. And before we do that, of course, we want to shout out to our patrons, as always, for supporting the show. Thank you so much. Speaking of that, I'm going to do, and I know you're good about sending me a reaction, I'm going to do a reaction video right after the 2 episodes for Patreon.
Yes.
Right after the first 2 episodes, me and my daughter are going to watch those together. We're excited about that. So, and it's a little late for her, but she's a night owl like me, so I'll let her watch Star Wars, even though it's a school night. But
It's fine.
yeah, it's fine. So on top of that, we'll just run through some comments first from our last episode, which our last episode focused on the release, mainly kind of the release of the new update for
Right.
Outlaws that really kind of changed a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of positive talk about that, how much that kind of update changed the game a little bit. And then, of course, Visions was our other discussion. So here's some comments about that from Thrawn. He says, on this one, it was about Rey. He said, I heard that the new trilogy they're working on might have Rey in them as an Obi-Wan mentor type. So maybe they're scrapping the Rey solo movie to have her in a trilogy. I never know what Lucasfilm are doing these days. Thanks again. Appreciate you. He also says, I enjoyed Visions a lot. The stories are fun and they always look beautiful, but it's one of those series that I don't highly anticipate, but really enjoy it when I watch it. I'm with you, Dave. I kind of missed anime growing up, apart from maybe Pokemon, if you count that, but never really got into anime overall. My son is getting into some anime now, so being forced to watch things like Demon Slayer, which are quite fun, but sometimes it's a bit too dramatic for me, but can see why people appreciate it. Do you know Demon Slayer?
I am very familiar with it.
Yeah,
I haven't
okay.
seen it though. Nani?
Yeah, my daughter loves Demon Slayer. And then let's see, Kamar Jade commented and said, video games do go through debugging testing You'll see games do beta releases sometimes as a stress form
Yeah.
of bug testing, but it's just impossible to catch everything. Most glitches require specific events in order, and the developers just didn't try it. But it is interesting to watch communities crowdsource glitch finding.
Yes.
And don't worry, Nintendo is kind of militant about pushing updates to fix bugs. We currently have a moratorium on Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom updates on our Switch because we don't want the item replication bug patched.
That's a good call. That's actually an excellent call. Excellent call.
Nice. Kamara also says, it's exciting to get more Visions. I didn't watch all of season 2, but mostly that each episode is hit or miss for me. There's been some really great ones and ones I don't care for, but that's okay. Not everything is for me. I appreciate the branching out of it all. Very much so.
Agreed.
And then, let's see. Then Theron went on and commented on our latest council sessions, which me and Martin talked about. What we kind of talked about, which was, we talked about mainly about Rey being the most valuable cinematic asset, but me and Martin kind of centered it around who do we think is the most valuable, most valuable cinematic asset.
Right.
Theron says, I think of post Rise of Skywalker timeline, she is definitely the most valuable character as she is the Last Jedi, and you could do a lot more with her character than any others from sequel trilogy. Don't get me wrong, Poe and Finn are great characters, but I couldn't see them carrying a trilogy on their own. Overall, though, I don't think she is. You may have to say most valuable characters are Luke, Han, Leia, Obi-Wan, and Vader, but I'm not sure what more you can do with them, with those characters on screen. Thanks for the video. Always love council sessions with you both. Interesting. Okay. I said, I don't know if you saw, Hannah, I said, hands down, the most valuable cinematic asset is Darth Vader.
Well, yeah, of course. Like, he is the most iconic one. He is the one that everybody recognizes. He's a symbol. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think with the re-emergence of Hayden Christensen and the fandom really behind him now, it seems like he can't really do any wrong with the way he is approaching Star Wars now and embracing Anakin and Vader. Vader is by far would keep making money in theaters. So.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still in the position though of what more of the Skywalker saga do we need to see?
True.
But I do agree with you. If you're going to pick one that you know for a fact, people are going to recognize. Like people know Anakin. People know Darth Vader.
That's right. Okay, Hannah, let's dive a little bit into Skeleton Crew a little bit. So, thinking back, this announcement came a while ago that we were going to get kind of this expansion into what's kind of been dubbed the Mandoverse. The Mandalorian, the same timeline. This is going to be around the same time as Ahsoka and Mandalorian. And if you remember, we were supposed to get another show called like the New Republic something. I can't remember. It was like
something like that.
It was centered around the starfighters, the X-wing pilots, but now instead we get Skeleton Crew, which is very much a kids. It even says right here, it tells the story of 4 kids searching for their home planet after getting lost in the Star Wars galaxy and the strange aliens and dangerous places they encounter on their adventure. This is a young kid adventure, very much reminiscent of Goonies. Super 8's been kind of thrown out there a little bit with the same thing. But, this kind of, adventure type, Indiana Jones, and, very much this, they kind of call it the Emblem Entertainment thing, right? Like the Spielberg kind of adventure, right?
Right.
So, it was kind of odd just because, in my opinion, it was kind of odd because, this universe that Filoni and Favreau were creating, which was The Mandalorian, which was, Ahsoka and probably this other show that got canceled, but like, they're focusing on these other characters that are kind of growing on, the Mandalorian, and then they kind of bring in Boba Fett as well,
Right.
but then all of a sudden you have this kind of show that they're shepherding, even though they're executive producing it. They're not really, writing and directing it like they are the other ones. But it is kind of part of that, and it's a wonder. One of the things we can kick off by this. One of the things is, and just in your thoughts about this, just overall what you've seen in the trailer and stuff like this. I mean, was it smart to put this in the same timeline as The Mandalorian and in that story, or should they have maybe put it somewhere else?
I would love to know what you think about this, because personally for me, I don't feel like I know enough to say one or the other. I feel like watching that trailer, in all honesty, I completely forgot it's supposed to take place at the same time as the Mandalorian.
Right.
Completely forgot. So I don't know. I wonder if this is something where you can plug and play almost anywhere in the Star Wars timeline. They just happen to pick this as just to be like, we'll just put it here. Or if it's going to play a bigger part in everything coming down the line. Unless you've seen something, I don't think we know enough to know for a fact if it's okay that it's in this timeline or not.
Yeah, I think what I've seen of it, I think it's very disconnected from it. I don't see how they're going to tie it in. I think they're trying to, I mean, there's other shows on Disney Plus that, I mean, The Acolyte obviously took place in the High Republic, but the other ones that we're a little more familiar with the characters already, which was Obi-Wan and Andor, and we know kind of where they land. So I feel like it's one of the things maybe that, I don't know, they're trying to keep all the Disney Plus series around the same timeline,
Maybe we'll see bounty hunters that we've seen in other shows, like specifically Mandalorian. We might see bounty hunters pop up because these kids do have a bounty on their head.
Very true.
So
very true.
That could be the tie-in.
Yeah, I mean
this could be pre-Grogu and we see Mando pre-Grogu.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know exactly when this takes place. Correct. Because Mandalorian, I guess, is kind of arguably has taken place over the course of like 2 or 3 years. So, what point does this take place? Is it where they are now, which is like Mando and Grogu are kind of retired, like living on Navarro? Like, does it take place then? But I think ultimately, the only thing I could possibly predict is Jude Law's character somehow moves on into that universe, because I don't see the kids being connected anyway. I don't really see this I don't really see them joining the fight against Thrawn and things like that. So if he's kind of a Jedi character or somebody with the Force, there's obviously there's rumors now that maybe he could possibly be like a dark side user. So
that's where I'm leaning more towards.
Yeah, so maybe he becomes part of the bad guys. I don't know. I think if there's any connection, it's got to be Jude Law, and I don't know how you're gonna. I just don't know how you're gonna do that.
Is he the first Knight of Ren?
Ooh, well, we already know that the Knights of Ren were in that Crimson Dawn comic,
right?
Before, so they're already around.
I mean, it could be he was a part of it, then left, and then came back or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there.
If he's using the Force, then I feel like he has been trained. So I think at this point he either has to be a Jedi that's been hiding this forever, or he's possibly an Inquisitor maybe that survived.
Maybe, that would be really nice to figure out what happened to all the Inquisitors after
correct.
Yeah, that would be great. Or maybe he's another follower of Balin.
Could be. Yes, that's actually true too. That's actually true. Yep.
But I do think he is a dark side user, and obviously you can edit a trailer to convey certain messages that you don't want it to convey. Heck, Avengers Infinity War shot scenes purposely for the trailer that never appeared in the movie.
Right. Right.
So that's entirely possible. But just the cut up of, wait, so you're a Jedi? And he's like, yes. Is like,
True.
oh, is he really a dark side user? Not necessarily Sith, but a dark side user.
Yeah.
And he's saying that so that the kids trust him.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All of those things could be right. I don't think I mean, I guess it's possible he could be somehow faking being a Jedi, just like that character, I can't remember his name, the character that in Obi-Wan, that was faking
Oh,
the
yeah.
Jedi thing. I don't think he would be, I don't think they'll do that again, but that's...
No, I have it. I have it. He's
What?
Marok.
He's Marok. That's funny. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I think he's I think if there's any connection, he's the only one that I feel like that could move on from this. So overall, then I think when you're talking about this story where these kids are looking for their home planet, I mean, I think we're both in agreement that that can't be the only plot device and the only thing driving it. I think there's other things that are going to come up and keep this story going for 8 episodes. But is this a story thinking about this now? Is this a story you feel like we need or we want, or is this something you're actually interested in?
So I'm very cautiously optimistic in the sense of this seems very different. Acolyte was very different, didn't really hit on all fronts, but for what they were trying to do, I truly appreciated it. So in that way, I'm excited for it because it feels different. I don't know if it's something we necessarily need, but as soon as I say that, I know within the first 2 episodes, there's going to be a huge thing dropped that makes us go, oh my gosh, this is the key to the entire, to this entire time period. So I just, I am cautiously optimistic because I think it is going to be different. And, it's, yeah, the main plot, the plot A or the season plot is them trying to get home.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you don't have a plot B, plot C, plot D, plot E. And like whenever you're writing for television, you want to have unless you're doing like a series of episodics, you want to have an overarching story that'll pull you through the entire season. And then every single episode will have its own arc, sometimes 2 or 3 arcs, depending on the characters and depending on what story you're trying to tell. So it seems simple enough. I feel like it's broad enough that you could do a lot of things within that, and there are a lot of shows that follow that trope. It'll just be interesting to see how they spin this on its head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I am. I think that the timing of this is just seems odd to me a little bit, because it's truly different. It's nothing we've seen before in Star Wars. I mean, look, Star Wars still is made for kids, is part of it, right? I mean, they're trying to appeal to all ages. This does that too, but I think it's trying to kind of come at my generation, which is the first Star Wars generation, and with that kind of 80s feeling and nostalgia. And then you've got this new story that you're trying to introduce? Because I think Lucasfilm is trying to get some wins, and this is kind of a safe bet. It's probably. I mean, I think they shot a lot on the volume. I would guess that this probably is not one of their most expensive shows that they've put together, because you have kids on there, kind of unknown kids a little bit in a sense, and they, obviously they're not big, huge A-list stars that you got to pay kind of thing. Jude Law is actually a pretty big get, I feel like, in this. But overall, and then you've got directors and people that you haven't used yet before, besides Bryce Dallas Howard. So I think it's a safe bet. I think it coming off of, even though that's the thing though, is that it's not like Alkalite didn't do well and then all of a sudden they made this. I mean, this was getting made around the same time. So I think they were banking on both of these being successful, because they really wanted to tell these stories. But I'm just, part of me is, there's, and maybe we're the only ones really having this debate, not Lucasfilm internally, but, we keep talking about, what timelines and what areas should they actually focus on.
Right.
And they've been jumping around, Andor is this time period, Obi-Wan's this time period, Acolyte's this time period. I mean, they're trying. And some are hitting, some are not, some are really missing. So I don't know. I think, they need a win here. And I think this is kind of a safe bet to do. I mean, this is it, right? This is the only focus. There's nothing out besides this. So if this doesn't hit the first couple episodes, it's going to really be bad, in my opinion.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I don't know where I saw this, but I read somewhere that supposedly Disney and other big companies out there will purposely put out what they think are going to be flops. They'll purposely do it. And they time it perfectly. And apparently, whenever they throw out something that they know, oh, this probably won't do as well, it makes the movies that they think will do well do even better. Now, I don't know if that's their current strategy anymore and if that's just an old strategy.
So they...
Like, for example,
Yes.
They put out, and I could be 1,000,000% wrong on this, but I'm 80% sure. They put out Treasure Planet at roughly the same time they put out Stitch. However, they did not advertise Treasure Planet at all. And if they did, it was bare min. The majority of the advertising went towards Stitch.
Mm-hmm. You mean they were out in the theaters at the same time?
They were either out in theaters at the same time or pretty darn close to the same time.
Yeah.
And now Treasure Planet is this cult classic.
Mm-hmm. Stitch did well, I think.
Oh, Stitch did very well.
Yeah. But I think I
Yep.
I kind of get what you're saying.
Treasure Planet is the second Disney animated feature film to be released the same year as the previous one. In 2002's case, the previous feature film was Lilo and Stitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. So Treasure Planet did not do well in theaters at all. Meanwhile, Stitch did.
Yeah.
Because all the advertising went to Stitch. Yet, Treasure Planet is still considerably held very high in public opinion. I don't know what the math is behind it or the science, but I read somewhere or someone told me that that's what Disney tries to do, as well as other companies. Now, I don't know if that's a new strategy now, but at least 10 years ago, it was purposely distribute items so that some would flop and some would succeed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, I think they're not. I mean, they're definitely not making stuff with the intention of it flopping. I think that
I think
was
they just think, oh, it's not going to do as well as we think it's going to do, so we're going to release it at this time.
Test screenings and
Exactly. And so then
surveys and all that stuff tell you whether or not it's going to do well.
Right, but they're not going to cut it. They're still going to air it, but they purposely time it out so that they know, okay, this is going to flop. Like they just know it will, just because of everything previous.
So you think that's what they think of this?
I don't know. Like that could be it, and all of a sudden everything got turned on its head, and it's a huge smashing hit.
Yeah.
But they might not be going under that idea anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough now with the amount of properties they own and the different distribution options. Now it's different.
It's different, and that was before Disney Plus, so it could be that was their strategy. But now with Disney Plus, that's out the window.
Well, Disney Plus, and then you got, you're trying to find a balance between not competing against Marvel and your other Disney properties. You've got all these properties, and I think that's the tough part about Star Wars, is that it's not just about Star Wars anymore. Because back, before it was just Lucas making it for himself, and now Disney's putting up against all their other stuff, and
yep.
You got to find that balance on the releasing on Disney Plus, and because technically right now I don't think, and maybe besides maybe Bad Batch, which was animated, I mean Disney Plus hasn't really overlapped any Marvel and Star Wars shows, right? So they're trying to find that balance, but
yeah, it's a whole new strategy they got to put into play.
Yeah, overall, I think. I think it's back to being kind of that weird time of Star Wars right now, where you kind of had this high going on a little bit before Acolyte, and then now kind of this little like dip, and now we're in this little kind of valley trying to get our way out. And is Skeleton Crew going to be that show that kind of is enjoyable? I definitely don't think this is going to be very mind numbing at all. I think this is just going to be a pure joyful adventure, and hopefully it does have that original trilogy vibe, in a sense, where it's just fun, it's adventurous, and you have some deep meaning to it, maybe with the kids and the parents. And, because the parents seem like they are kind of involved in this, at least a couple of them are, trying to help find the kids. Mm-hmm. And then with Jude Law's character, however he kind of draws this thing in and drives this thing. So I definitely think, I'm with you. I think I'm would you say you're optimistically cautious? Yeah, I'm pretty much in that same boat. I mean, I think I'm going to go in with a open mind and trying to just enjoy what's going on, but I hope there's something. I hope there's a little bit something deeper in there to kind of, like you said, kind of hook me and drive me, want me to watch and find out what happens.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be like Bluey.
I don't know. Bluey's pretty dang popular right now.
I know, but I'm talking about how it's just fun, it's entertaining, but there are deeper life lessons in there.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. So do you think I don't see it. I don't see there's any way that this is I don't know how there would be another season of this. I really think this is a one-off show.
I agree. I think this is going to be a one-off. Yeah. Unless for some reason the kids end up in the hands of the First Order or Bounty Hunter, and then Jude Law's character is like, dang it, I gotta go towards the light, and goes after them.
I mean, I guess it's always possible that if the show is actually highly successful, that they bring the kids back somehow and do some other, but it's hard with these adventure shows.
Oh yeah.
And movies to make sequels, because you're just repeating almost every, you're just going on another adventure. National Treasure is kind of that one that kind of worked because there's a different treasure, but now it's been very hard for them to even get a third one going, even though the first two were pretty popular. So Goonies never actually could do how do you make another Goonies movie? It's like, but anyway, it's possible, I guess, if it's very successful. So we'll have to see. All right. Any last thoughts?
Well, I guess we'll wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I'm interested. I am interested on. They have these other characters like on the poster and things like that, like the droid and the parents, and there's these other creatures on there. So I'm curious how they factor in. I hope there are, like you said, I hope there are some familiar characters that pop up. I know it could be bounty hunters or something like that, but I think this is going to be intentionally separate. I think it's really going to be focused on these kids. I think the kids are going to be in it the whole way, and I think that's what they're going to try to bank on, that we find these kids adorable and that we're happy for them and excited trying to get them home and things like that. So I definitely think something my wife will enjoy, to be honest.
Woo!
I think she'll like this. So, all right. Well, we will talk about the first two episodes on the next episode of Inside the Force. We'll do a couple reactions to it as well for Patreon, and then we'll. If you want to hop over to the Mandalore podcast, me and Martin will do some deep dives on there as well. So this will be our Star Wars talk over the next 7 weeks, I guess.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot. That's not a lot. I mean, this thing will be wrapped up in early January, and then we're dark again for a few months. Till
find something to talk about.
Till April? I think April will be Andor, right? Is that what it said? Yeah, I think so. April's Andor. So now that one I'm really excited for.
I cannot wait.
That one I'm excited for. I'm definitely going to rewatch that right after the series is over. So, all right. Thanks everybody for that and joining us. Go watch Skeleton Crew. Let us know what you all think. And let's keep this. Let's just keep watching it. Make sure Lucasfilm knows where you keep wanting Star Wars, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And we can all enjoy it if we like it. We can all just support it if we don't, still, because we all want Star Wars. So, thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, Dave.
Have a good shoot tomorrow. I know you're working tomorrow.
Thank you. It'll be fun. Yeah,
it's cold here too. So
I woke up to 3 inches of snow and I was like, what?
Oh yeah, now it's gone though. So
I know it's gone, but still.
We don't keep snow around here very much. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Tune in next time when we talk about these next two episodes, and have a great week. May the Force be with you.